Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Gonna get started here in just a moment. Today I'm going to be adding a feature to my open source project that we've been working on for the last several weeks. I'll explain here in just a moment. First, a quick sound check. If you're watching and I sound okay, would you give me a thumbs up in chat or say it sounds good or anything like that? And we'll get started. Let me just explain what I'm going to be working on today. If you've joined me for the last several weeks, I have been working on adding a feature to this Kivik program. Kivik is the CouchDB client SDK, client API, whatever that I've written for CouchDB, written in Go. And my goal today, I haven't received any validation about sounds. I'm concerned that maybe I'm not streaming correctly. Let me just verify that this is okay. Yeah, so if you're here and you can hear me, would you give me a thumbs up in chat? Let me know. I'm not sure if anyone's actually watching right now. That might be why I'm not hearing any chat, but that's okay. I'm going to continue because you could be watching this on replay. So the last few weeks, I've been adding the capability to my CouchDB driver to support returning multiple revisions of a single document. Now I want to add the same support to the file system-based driver. By doing that, then I can all right, I got some response. Thanks for letting me know you can hear me. So the goal today is to add the same support to the file system driver. The file system driver is something I've written completely by myself. It's not interfacing with CouchDB or third-party software. And the purpose of it is to allow treating a file system as a CouchDB database. So a directory full of JSON files or YAML files, for example. And by adding this OpenRevs feature that I'm going to do today, my goal is to make it easier and more efficient to do synchronization between CouchDB and the file system. That support already exists, but it doesn't take advantage of this capability, which I want to add today. So that capability is described here in the docs, so that's why I have the page here. I need to implement the same functionality that is in CouchDB in my own software. Reference. So here is the option that I need to add support for, and I'm looking up another place where it's described here. Here's how this document describes how it's used within the replication protocol. We may need to refer to that as well, but I think it's pretty straightforward what I need to do. So let me pull up my code and let's get started. I zoomed in too much there. So here is the get method that I need to extend, and I need to make it recognize when it receives an option that's called OpenRevs. Hi Ron, welcome to the chat. Glad you're here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, of course, is write a test because I like to do TDD, and that helps me know when I'm done. And I don't want to keep going if I'm already done. So writing a test for this shouldn't be that hard. However, actually, the current tests don't support fetching multiple documents for the same response. So I'm going to create a new test rather than adding to this existing list of table-driven tests. I'll just start at the top here. Func test get open revs. I can copy some of the same structure. So this is an object that represents an abstraction around the file system. I don't know what all the details are. It's been like 3 or 4 years since I wrote this code, so it's a little bit rusty, of course, in my head. I'm going to start minimally, and then I'll go back and add other fields to this struct as I discover that I need them. Now let's just start with that. I know I'm going to need more than that, but this tests.run and test.newtable are probably unfamiliar to you because it's a library I've written that makes building table-driven tests a little bit easier. And so I create, as you can see down here, I do test.add, and I can add a bunch of tests. And then at the end, I call test.run all the way down to the end here. And that's what runs the test. And it's similar to t.run, but it takes the second argument, which is the test value. So it's just a way to iterate over tests. I've used it for quite a while, although I've started to like it less, so that maybe I won't do that today, actually. Maybe I'll skip that. I'll just use a standard library for this. This will be logically the same thing, but using just a standard library. Oops, I did that wrong. So I've created a list of tests. It's empty right now, right? Empty struct. It's a slice of empty structs that contain nothing, so it's not going to do anything right now, but just building my boilerplate right now. I should add that. All right, so what I need to be testing is calling get. So I need to instantiate a database object. I'm sure that's being done here. Let me see how it's being done in this existing test. I can probably just copy that. So I can probably copy this. I'm not doing this t.fs thing yet, so let me just make that and choose the default for now. What is dir? Is that a constant? It's probably a temporary direct reg. Yeah, it's a temporary thing. Let me copy that. So it copies, it creates a copy of some test files, is what it does, into dir. Let me add that. Or from dir, rather. Actually, I'm not sure what that does. But I don't want to mess with that right now. I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm just going to say pt.path. Make it as simple as possible. I can add complexity later. That's never hard to do. Okay. All right. So I have it's not complete yet, but here I define a new fs instance from the default file system. So that's just going to read and write the directories off the disk. Or for this test, it should just be reading. There should be no writing involved. But then I create a client object where I set the root path to whatever is specified in the individual test and the file system accordingly. And then I call new DB, which creates a new test database instance with the appropriate database name. And then I can do the things I want on that So let me copy that logic now. So that's where I call this, right? Okay. All right, so now I need to give it some options. And it's asking for an ID and some expected things here. Okay. All right. I think I need to add one more field to this tests object, but I'll get there in just a second. Now what I need to do, now that I've gotten the rows, I need to iterate over the result set and decide how I'm going to validate that. I think I'll just validate that I get the list of expected revisions. Okay. Now for rows.next. So rows is an iterator. If you've been watching before, you probably know that. Oh, it's not quite right. So let's change this. 4 and then error equals rows.next. And then equals graph. Break. This needs an argument of type driver.row. Dot res slice, an empty slice of strings, or rather a slice of, yeah, it's an empty slice of strings. That's right. Okay. Then here we're going to do got rev equals append dot revs rows dot rev. So that's going to return an error, isn't it? Let's do rev error equals no dot variable error. Why is this not happy? Oh, it's not a function. It's not a method. It's just a field. So it's easier than rev. Row.rev rather. There we go. All right. Then if d colon equals cmp.diff tt.want revs got revs d is not empty string unexpected return. All right, that probably is correct. I'm sure we'll have to tweak this, but let's write our first test now. And I think a really simple thing to test first is a not found case, right? The truth is this code should already exist, so maybe it's not worth testing. Yeah, I won't do that. I'll do one that I know I need to do. So all open revs equals all. So path will be, so there, I already have some test databases on my file system that are part of the Git repository, so I can just use one of those. I think I was looking earlier. One with multiple revisions. UB2, I think. No, hang on a second. Let's see how that's used before. So path is test dated, UB2, and then with it, okay, with attach. So these are used in a test case in the other test function, but I can reuse the same data, and I think it'll be simpler than recreating new data. And I want ID with attach. I think that's right. And then I want options equals dot physics.param open revs all. And then the status should be okay. So there should be no error here basically. Want, so all I need to do is specify want revs. And there should be 2 revisions. I don't remember what they are, but there should be 2 of them. Let's find out what they are. Second revision is 2 dash why. What was the first one before that? One dash XXXXXXX. Alright, so this is what I expect to be returned. Now, I know it's going to fail. In fact, I can see it's failing right here. Let's run the test and see how it fails. I expect it fails because it's only, well, let's just see what it does. Okay, it does exactly what I expected it to do. I should have said it. It just returns the latest revision because that's what the current logic does. So I need to modify the logic now to detect when that open revs equals all is present and then return all revisions. So I hope that's not too difficult, but let's see. All right. So I think I need to put my so from here, this is the function, right? Here it's preparing the options. It takes these functional options and turns them into a map of string to empty interface. Then it has the option to it uses that here. But I need to, so right here is where it tries to open the document from the disk. This is what I need to change, or I need to fork my logic here basically. So I'm going to put a check in here. If open revs, okay, colon equals ops dot, it's open revs. So if open revs exists and it's a slice of strings, then I can do something with it. I think I'll create a new function here called get. I may not stick with this, but I'm going to do it for now. I'm going to call it, let's create a new method. Call it get open revs. It'll take some similar arguments to what we have already. Whoops. I don't need the options here, but I do need, well, I might need the options. Yeah, I guess I'll pass the options in. Well, do I? Let me think here. You know what? I'm not going to create the function yet because I don't know what it should do. I'm gonna start to put my logic right here, even though that's going to make for a really bloated function, and I'll split it out later. I think what I can do here, I'm gonna do this very inefficiently to start with. I think I can create a slice of docs. Actually, I don't know if I want to do that. So let me walk you through my thought process. So I know that I need to read multiple versions of the document off the disk, and I can do that with this OpenDoc by OpenDoc ID by passing a different revision as an option for each one. Now actually that's not enough. Because I'm passing open revs equals all, so I need to return all the revisions. I haven't told it which revision. I need it to find the revision. So I probably already have a function that does that, but I don't know. Let me see if I can find something that does that for me. If not, I'll have to create it. So here's a thing called open revs. That sounds similar to what I want. Yeah, that looks very much like what I want. It's not documented. It should be. Shame on me. All right, let's just see what I'm going to add documentation here. As I figure out what it does, I'm going to document it. So in the future, my future self won't have to go through this problem again. So I make a list, I make a slice of revisions that is, I don't know why this is called open revs when it looks like it's retrieving a single rev, but I guess I'll figure that out. So create the slice of revs that has length 0, capacity 1. Then it escapes the doc ID, in case it has special characters in it. Then it reads the main revision, good enough. If there's an error, it returns the error. If there's no error, and the revision ID matches the specified revision, then it appends it. We're calling open revs with a rev ID. It's only ever called this one place, so it probably shouldn't be called open revs. I'm going to try to fix that too, but I don't know what to call it yet. If you've never had the experience of working on your own code from 3 years before, it feels a lot like looking at somebody else's code, and that's exactly what I'm going through right now. Dir path equals file path.join. Okay, so we add. Okay. So basically, if we didn't already find the requested revision, then we start looking for old revisions, and the old revisions are stored in a directory called document ID. So that's what this is looking for, and you saw that a moment ago. Right here, you see there's a document called withattach.json. That's the current revision, and then .withattach contains old revisions. So that's what it's looking for here. So then it opens up that directory. If it doesn't exist, then okay. If the error is not nil, and it's not a not exist error, so any error other than file not found, we return it. That would be like permission denied or invalid file. I don't know what it would be. Permission denied would be an obvious one. Otherwise, if the error is nil, that means it was found. We do some stuff. Otherwise, we come back here to return error not found. Now, this should. Okay, I see why it's doing that. I was about to say I should early return here in the not found case, but because then I can unindent this whole chunk. But I see why it's not doing that. It's because there's 2 cases where it's not found. One is we get a not found error, and the other is that directory exists, but it doesn't contain any revisions to care about. I'm not going to change that right now, although it probably should be changed. Because right now I'm trying to understand what it does. Okay, then it reads the directory. What does readdir -1 do? I don't know. Wrapping the standard library. Let me pull up the docs for the standard library. Oh, it's just a limit. So I can set it to 5, and then we'll just read the first 5 entries. I do -1, so it's unlimited apparently. All right. Then I iterate over those. If it's a directory, I continue. If it's not a directory, I check for the revision ID, I guess. Yeah, so I'm just trying to check to see if it matches. If it does, then I append. What I don't understand is why I have a slice here. I think I know why, actually. Because it is possible to, well, is it? Oh. Yeah, I'm confused about this. Why don't we just return as soon as we hit a match is my question right now. And why are we returning a slice rather than than a single revision. I mean, open revs is a clue that's similar to the problem I'm trying to solve right now. Maybe I need to modify this. Maybe I need to modify this argument to what happens here. So I get revs. What does it think it's returning? Revisions. Okay. Okay, so it theoretically returns a group of revisions. But it's doing an I don't exactly understand the logic behind it. So the truth is, I think this check that I just added doesn't belong here. It actually belongs here in the open doc thing. But I need to change the open doc to return like a slice of documents. So maybe that's the first place I'll start. I'll make this return a slice of documents, which should already nicely work with the new iterator. And then I can add that functionality in here. Still want to add some documentation here though. So the strange thing is I'm passing in a revision ID, and those should be unique. So I don't know how this would ever return more than one value as it stands. But I'm going to be changing it to take a slice and to consider the word all, and then it will return multiple things. So I'm not going to fix that to stop returning more than one right now, because I'm going to need that. And maybe that's what I was thinking when I wrote this. Maybe I had that intention in mind. I don't know. I'm going to add this test I added, failing test. Now, actually, I'm going to open up a new branch and add the new capability in the new branch. Because I can do that separately without, it won't make the test pass, but I can easily and safely merge that before I've made the change to make the test pass. So, was I already on that master, on that branch? Yes, I was. I'm going to keep that that GoDoc commit in this new branch I'm creating. I might as well get that merged quickly. So the feature or the change I want to make is that open doc ID should return multiple documents. All right, so boom, broken already. So I need to I'm going to have it create a docs slice that's the same length as whatever revs we get back. Should always be one right now, but it will be more than that in the future. Oh, wait a minute. It just threw me off. So we're actually returning multiple revisions for the same document. Maybe it already has the capability I need, and I just didn't recognize it. So you see here that this document has revisions, which contains multiple revisions in it. All right. Let's undo that change. Let me see how it's used here. So here we return first revision. All right. So I already had the data I needed, just in a format I wasn't expecting, I guess. What's this doing here? JSON encoder encodes the doc. Not sure why I included options there, but whatever. So what I think I can do is, let me open up my previous pull request, or not pull request, but branch. I think what I can do is detect right here if OpenRevs was called, and if so, return an iterator for each revision. Let's try that. If OpenRevs, okay, colon equals ops OpenRev. Now the thing is, I don't care about the value at this point. I just want to know if it's been set and I want to know if it's either a string or a slice of strings, right? So I need to leave a switch statement. Switch. Ops open revs type case string or slice of string. Then I want to return now I need to create this documents type. And it needs to be of drivers.rows. Need to satisfy that. Rows equals actually, I'm going to call this document revs because I think that's a little bit more specific. Because it's the same document, it's just multiple revisions of the same document, so it's a little bit less confusing. Obviously, it's broken. It doesn't do anything yet, so I need to start fixing that. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this is going to contain in it. Let's just add dummy methods for now. The next method. And we need offset. So these last few methods are never used on this particular iterator. Offset, total rows, and update sequence, I think. But they still need to exist. Could probably change that, make it a simpler interface, but do that sometime. And then update sequence. All right, now it satisfies the interface. The tests are still going to fail, though. Now it fails even worse in a sense because now it returns nothing because it returns this iterator that's just empty and does nothing at all. well, let me. So I think that the core logic is going to be in this open doc ID. I need to make it smarter. But I'm gonna. I'll get there one step at a time, right? For now, I'm gonna make this just return basically the same document, um, but update the revision for each instance, each iteration. So basically, that may have to change, but for now, that'll be a quick way to get started. It should make the current test pass, since all I'm checking for in the current test is the revision. So I'm going to put, well, I'm going to kind of copy this structure. But not exactly, because I don't want a single revision. I want that revisions object. Revisions. Is that what it was called? I don't remember. It's called cdb.revision. Okay. That can't be right because, well, maybe it's right. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is right. So I wonder if I can just pass doc, if I could just use doc itself. No, I need to do some handling on it. Okay. So you see on this document type, oh, I'm confused here. What am I marshalling? What is this JSON marshal thing all about? Encoding doc. Okay, that's ignored. That makes sense. Well, that's why options are included in there. It's so that you can consider whether or not to include that. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I can think of some potential problems, but I'll think about that later. I'm trying to get the current test pass first. Okay. So I was wondering if I could just use this document as the type, and like delete revision one at a time. I'm not sure if that really makes sense. I have multiple revisions here. One thing I don't know is the order I should be returning revisions in. I suppose I'll do oldest first, since that's what the test expects, and then I'll decide if that makes sense. Alright, so let's know this here. You can set all these fields basically. Row.id equals b.id. Row.rev equals, I suppose, the first revision. What does this revision field look like? I just marshal this, I think. No, I don't want to marshal it because this is a different thing. This is rev meta. Okay. I think I know what I need to do. This is it's kind of confusing because it's such old code here. So basically, I need to find the first. Let me do this. If len row dot revision, no, not row, d dot revisions. I need to add a mutex here, don't I, to protect this. d.mu.lock defer d.mu.unlock. All right. If the length revisions is equal to 0, then I'm done. In fact, I don't need this. I don't need this close thing anymore. Turn io.eof. Done. Boom. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to say current rev equals d.revisions 0 and d.revisions equals d.revisions 1 colon. So it's going to set current rev to be the very first of the revisions, and d.revisions to be all the remaining ones, which might be 0. So then the next time next is called, it would trigger this condition. Now I'll go about setting this row.rev equals per rev dot string. That looks like it should be handy. I hope that does what I want. All right. There's no key. There's no value. There is a doc. Row.doc equals okay. Now this is where I need that. I'm not sure what I need here, honestly. You know what? I'm going to skip that for right now because I don't need it to make my test pass. All right. I'm going to make my test pass, then I'm going to and then I'm going to see what capability am I missing and add a test for that. That's called test-driven development. Rather than trying to guess and haphazardly try to add functionality, hoping that it's what I need, I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to use tests. All right. So here we are. This test is failing. Passing open revs equals all. Okay, so I know why it's failing. It's because but the good news is it's only that one that's failing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a test that I think will pass. I'm going to comment this one out. Because the reason it's failing is because I'm not specifying. I haven't added that all capability yet to the open doc ID thing. But I think if I specify an existing revision like this one xxxx whatever, it'll be easy to make that one work. Now in this case, I only expect it to return a single one. Right, now it should be fairly straightforward to make open doc ID, make that test pass. Looking for rev ID. What I want to do here is consider if no, not there, I'm close though. So now I'm wondering what should happen if a user specifies rev and open revs. I don't know what happens in that case. They seem like contradictory options. So I think what I want to do is something like this. If not okay, then this might be enough to make this particular test pass. It's not correct completely, but it might be more correct. Oh, not enough. Not enough yet. I'm not sure why. Maybe well, let me add some debugging here. First, I want to run just a single test. So now it's running only that single test. So I could add some debugging, and I won't get debugging output for a whole bunch of other tests I don't care about. Let's see what we get here. All right, so it did set it correctly, it seems like. It may be that my new iterator is broken, which wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it looks like that's probably what's going on. So let's come over here and see about that. Let me just add a panic. That'll prove that this particular code is being executed, right? And it's not being executed, so that would explain that. Oh, duh! I see the problem. I'm still returning this empty thing. I didn't populate it. So this should go before the attachments iterator thing. Go up here. Actually, it should go before the document encoding as well. It should go right here. I know it's going to be broken, but all right, that test is passing. Make sure there's nothing else I need to add there. I should have said, no, I'll add that when I get there. Okay, now there are things that I know are broken. I need to extend this test now to test the other fields. All I'm testing right now is that the revision is being set, which is useful but not enough. I want to validate that the document is correct too, right? So let me do that. Want doc. I'm going to call this an interface. I'm going to put any value in there, and I'll do some JSON comparison there, right? Oh, it's not quite what I want. I want this to be a slice of inner. Actually, no. I'm gonna change this. I'm going to call this want slice of. I need to compare several things. I need to compare the revision, the document, and probably attachments. There's three things I need to do there. So let me create type result struct rev string, doc ID string, rev string, attachments. I'll add the attachments later. Right now I want doc ID and doc ID I don't want. I want the document itself. Doc interface. So rather than checking for just rev, I'm going to check for this. And I'm going to change want becomes result. First one is rev. What am I missing? Oh, there's no quotes there. Okay. Now I need to update this. I want to change got revs to got. And then here, got. Append dot result. And up so far I'm just setting rev. Just a row.rev. I hope it makes sense what I'm doing here. I'm accumulating the results as I go through the iterator. I'm accumulating results in this slice of results. My test should pass again, I think. Whoops. Not quite. Oh, I know what's going on. Alright, the easy thing to do here is to export these types. The CMP package I'm using panics if I try to compare unexported types. And there's an option to fix that, but it's easier just to export them. Hi, Nu. Yeah, thanks for coming to the live stream. I enjoy doing these. It's work that I need to do anyway for my open source project. Might as well do it in public and let other people learn from it, right? All right, so my tests are passing. Let me just create a quick commit here. Now I'm going to add the document test, which is I know is going to fail, but that's okay. Var doc string interface. Actually, there's an easier way to do that, more efficient way. JSON.raw message. So all I need to do is I need to capture the document, the JSON, in such a way that I can compare it outside the loop. So I'm going to use JSON raw message here. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I am going to use a map. In fact, I'm going to change the type here to be map string interface. Yeah, I like that better. I'm going to move this import up here. My linter would complain if I didn't. In fact, it was complaining. Okay, so let's do this. Var doc map string interface. I don't want to do var. I want to do it like this. There's several ways to do this. It doesn't really matter which one I choose. And then if error equals row dot JSON dot new decoder row dot doc dot decode into doc. Error does not equal nil. P dot fatal error. Now I should be closing this doc also. It's only a test, so it's not that critical if I have a slight memory leak or whatever, but I'm going to do it anyway. Actually, I'll do it right here. Oh, maybe it's not a closer. I thought it was a read closer, but maybe it's just a reader. It's just a reader, so I don't need to close it. All right, doc. All right, now the test should fail. Oh, that's not what I expected. It did fail. That's not the way I expected it to fail. Line 98. Oh, it's because doc is nil. I'll wrap this here, even though it should never be nil. One of my tests, I think. I may end up removing that check, but we'll see. In fact, no, I know it should never be nil because you'd never get a nil doc. So the fact that it's panicking is actually a good thing. All right, so I need to set that in my iterator over here. Where did it go? Here. So row.doc needs to be something. And what it needs to be is a copy or a JSON representation, an IO reader that returns a JSON representation of the document. In the single document case, we do that by marshalling this doc variable, which has a bunch of magic contained in it. Find where it's defined. Okay, I don't really know what it's doing here. It's been so long since I wrote this code. So I need to set I'm pretty sure that I don't care about revs info or rev history for this particular use case. I don't think you can request that and open revs simultaneously. So I don't need to satisfy those. I don't need options. Okay, I see what we're doing. I'm getting two. I think I can copy this sort of logic. What I'm not sure of is where I'm getting the data. So basically what this function does is it marshals the revision and it marshals the rest of the data as two separate things and then joins them together. Because a JSON document can contain arbitrary data in it. It could be an arbitrary length, even gigabytes potentially. But I don't think this OpenRevs doc or OpenRevs function does quite what I need. I'll worry about that in a minute. But right now I need to figure out how to return the right data. And I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, what data do I have? I have a body. Why don't I just use that? I know it's not going to be quite right, but let's start with that. Why do I have a body? Where did that body come from? I don't even know. I haven't set it anywhere. Right here. I already don't have a body. I don't know why. I just copy and pasted that. Let me get rid of that. That'll make it more obvious what I do and don't actually have. So here I need to set something that's going to be able to resolve those that body. I'm quite certain I don't have the data I need available, so I'm gonna have to get it. But I want to make the test pass for now. So here's well, okay. For right now, this all I need. I think I will add that body back. That will get this test passing. What did I just do? Body io.read closer. I'm going to move this back up above here temporarily. It's not really where it belongs. It's failing now. Well, you know what? I don't care about that. I don't care if it's a read closure. I care if it's a reader. I might care about read closure at some point, but I don't right now. Let's see if the tests do anything different. All right. Yeah, that's more in line with what I expected. Let me update the expectation for the test. So you can see the ID and the revision are duplicated in the body of the response document. That's good and expected. And there's an arbitrary key called foo with value bar, and then there's this attachments thing I need to add. Some of you may be wondering why I'm using interface everywhere instead of any. It's because this project supports Go 1.17, which doesn't know the any keyword yet. But you can see here that even though I'm running on Go 1.21, so my output is showing any instead of interface. All right, let's copy these keys and values. The truth is, this is a little bit more detailed than I care about. Like I don't care if I have the right MD5 sum here. I just want to know that I have something returned, but this is a quick and dirty way to do it for now. So it does, however, make the tests more fragile than necessary. If I ever change the content of one of these things, I have to go change all the tests that rely on it too. All right, the test is passing. What did I just accomplish? Let me look at this. Oh, or now including the response body. All right. Now, I think the next thing I want to fix is the option to pass a slice here that contains a single item in it. So that should be fairly easy. Basically, this entire test can be duplicated, except for this should be a slice of strings. The reason I want this is because the next thing I want to add is the ability to pass in multiple revisions, and then I need a slice. I don't need a slice here, but I expect to fail because I'll show you in a second here. It's not checking for both. It only checks for one. It only checks for a string, not a slice of strings. So that'll be the next thing to change. So here I'm checking for both, but I'm not checking for both. Was it in here? Yeah, I'm not checking for both here. So this will be easy. Well, let's do it like this. This is temporary. That should make a test pass. It's really stupid ugly. But I now accept OpenRevs as a slice, but I ignore all but the first value. But it makes a test pass, and that's kind of one of the rules of. Actually, why does it make a test pass? This code isn't even being executed. Oh, I do know why that's happening. It is being executed just in a different package, so it doesn't show up here as executed. What I was saying is one of the rules of test-driven development is to write the minimum code necessary to make your test pass. And the reason for that is to prevent over-engineering. So that's what I've done here. I know that the code isn't perfect, but it's not over-engineered. So let's commit that. It's safe to commit. Let's commit it. Now we're going to get to the point where I have to start getting into nitty-gritty stuff, but let's do it with a test. I'm going to duplicate this test, and I'm going to pass in 2 revisions. And it will fail. Oop, put that in the wrong place. I'm going to put brackets around this to indicate that it's a slice. That's just the name of the test. It doesn't really matter. And then I'll put brackets here. So now we're doing it with 2 revisions. And now the key is I need to update the expectation. So I expect to get this revision the second time. And I don't know what the actual content looks like, but let's find out. That's going to be the hard part to update. Toolbar. So the thing that changes is the attachment metadata. So this should now be length of 8 with a different digest. It'd be nice if the arbitrary other data changed too, but I'll worry about that later. Basically what I'm saying is this foo::bar key value is the same in both revisions of the document. It would be nice if that changed. And I might make that change, but then I have to update the other test that depends on the same data, so I'm not going to do that just yet. All right, I expected my test to fail, and it does. And it fails in exactly the expected way. I don't return, it should be 2, not y. I don't return the second revision, as expected. Add a failing test here. Okay. So now maybe I do want to return a slice of documents. I was noticing that this revision had multiple revisions in it already, but it still only has a single instance of the body. So I think I do want it to return multiple documents. Maybe I should go back to that branch I just abandoned and try that. So first off, I'm going to make this just work. Just change the function signature with no functionality changes. I guess the easy way to do that is this. And fix all the places where it's broken. Give me a bunch of those. An alternative would be to add a new function, because most of the time I only want a single. I don't know if I want to update all the 16 places that are broken, 17 places, just for one use case. So let me consider an alternative here. I could make an open doc ID all revisions or something like that. I think this is the only function that will ever use that capability. I don't know if I want to complicate everyone else's use of this function just for that use case. I'm going to try. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I'm going to start down that approach, and I may decide it's terrible and go back, but I'm going to start. I don't want all revs. I want open revs. That's really what I want, right? Which feels like it's duplicate with this. I don't know. I can always refactor, and I probably will. Open doc ID. Open revs opens the requested document by ID without file extension. Same as open doc ID. However, it honors the open revs option to potentially return multiple revisions of the same document. What this means, probably, well, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say. All right. I'm going to start by copying this logic, and then it will diverge over time, right? And now I'll do the change I just made. And now this is complaining it's not being used, right? No, it's complaining that I don't have the right. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Open COD ID. That's awesome. Now it's going to complain that it's not in use, I think. No, it's not complaining about that because it's exported. But it's not in use. I'm going to change this particular instance to do that. And let's call this docs. And so all I care about is docs 0 so far in this branch. That's all that will ever be populated. I know it will be populated because if it's not, it's returning an error. So that's a simple, quick change. Test should pass. Don't. What's wrong? Oh, it's because it's the test is doing yeah. I know why it's failing. Whereas before I was returning a single value, now I'm returning an array or a slice of single values, and the diff is off. So let me just update that. We'll update the golden files. All right. Now I'm going to do git add -p, which lets me look at each change as I go. So that's the new function that I just created. Commit that. These are this is where I renamed docs and started using the 0 index, so that's good. Here's the on disk change. The golden file used to be an object, now it's a slice of object or an array of objects in JavaScript parlance. Same, 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 same. A lot of these. If that makes sense, I had a lot of tests for this function. There's a lot of options on it. It's only getting more complicated. Look at all those test cases that had to be modified. All right, so what did I do here? I created this method. I'm going to go ahead and push that up. I can create a pull request and merge that one change because although it doesn't add any useful functionality, it's completely safe. The tests are passing. I'll verify that in the CI pipeline, but it should be completely safe to merge that. Here's my GitHub page. Give it a better description. I think this last description is a useful one. And that GoDoc thing that I did early on is in the same pull request. That's fine. So this will now run the tests against the live for like 6 versions of Go and against live databases. So it does a more extensive test suite than I'm running locally, and it takes longer. So we'll let that run for a few minutes, and then we'll see where we stand. While we're letting that run, I'd like to remind everybody, if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe. I try to do these live streams once a week, every Monday, and I also create other content, book reviews and code reviews. I have a code review that should be coming out pretty soon. And I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to my daily email list where I write about Go every day. You can go to boldlygo.tech/daily and subscribe there. And one last thing I'll mention, Ron on the chat here said he's here for Mentor Cruise. I'm doing some mentoring. I have a couple mentees I'm working with. Ron is one of them. If you could use some help with your Go projects, reach out. Let me know. I have some availability for 1 or maybe 2 more mentees on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So if that's something that would be interesting to you to help upskill your Go, reach out. Let me know, and we can talk about the options. One other thing I should mention, next week I'm going to be live streaming again, as usual, but I'm going to do a special edition. I'm not going to be working on my open source project. I'm going to be building a basic REST API, I think, a web, I shouldn't say REST API. I'm going to be building a web server for Go. And what I'm going to do, as I've done on a couple other live streams in the past, I'm going to be following a tutorial. In this case, it will be a course, an online course from boot.dev. Boot.dev helps into a sort of online gamification course to teach you how to become a backend developer. Teaches about Python, a little bit of JavaScript, and of course Go, which is what this channel is all about. So I reached out to Lane Wagner, who runs boot.dev, and he offered to give me access to their web server course. So I'm going to be doing their web server course live. I haven't used the platform. I've logged in and created an account. That's all I've done. I've never used their platform. So you'll get to watch me as I learn how boot.dev works as a platform, and as I follow their tutorial to build a Go web interface or a Go web server. So I hope you'll join me for that next week at the same time, in the same time slot. And then probably after that, I'll get back to doing more open source work. But we'll see. If you have a topic you'd like to see me live stream about, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I can always code database driver stuff in my free time. If something else is more interesting to you, let me know, and I'd love to take on the topic that's interesting to you. Let's check out the status of the test. Oh, the coverage failed. Is this a legitimate failure or one of those sporadic failures? It's a legitimate failure. Okay. Not sure what's going on there. Replicating file system to file system failed. Okay, let's see. I broke something. So it's a good thing that the tests are there. All right. So we're supposed to read one document and read 0. So this change that was supposed to be completely safe and make no difference obviously broke something. What did I do wrong? And then this, I don't even know what this is about. Clearly I broke something pretty drastically. Might have to do some serious debugging here. That was such a simple change. How did I break this? Probably some simple typo I did somewhere. Oh, right here. This is what I did wrong. It's a simple typo somewhere. I tried to encode the entire docs thing rather than just the first one. I'll bet that fixes it. It does. It does. Thank goodness for tests. All right, let's of course push that up there. Get that test suite running again. It's also one of the great reasons you should work in small batches. You notice that I did this. I could have made that change on my other branch with all the other changes going on, and then when I pushed up and got a failure, I wouldn't know which change broke it. Because I did this one simple change by itself and it broke something, it was obvious, fairly obvious. I mean, it took me 10 seconds, 15 seconds to find the failure. But this is one important reason to work on small changes and to merge as soon as something is proven safe. Don't wait till your whole feature's done, because then if you discover some failure like this, it's so much harder to go back through hours or days or weeks worth of work and find that failure. It was very easy for me to find the failure here because the test failed within just a few minutes on one what should have been a trivial change. It made it really clear and really quick to find the failure. I guess I'll breathe at you for a minute while I wait for this to run. I'm curious if everybody here is on the Gopher Slack. If you're not, that might be a good place to go. I've been thinking about setting up my own Slack, a Boldly Go Slack. I don't know if I'll do that, or if I should just use the Gopher Slack place to chat if people have questions midweek. I don't know if that would be interesting to you. Let me know. Just on the chat is fine, or send me an email. I'm just curious if anybody would be interested in having the option to stay in contact on a more regular basis throughout the week. And to respond to my videos or make requests about videos or ask questions or anything like that. Abdu says it's interesting. I think you mean the Slack group would be interesting. Cool. Cool. Good to hear that. Oh, it's taking a minute to run. I wish it was faster. Maybe I'll jump back to my other branch in the meantime. I guess I gotta remove this open revs from my to-do list. So that's what I'm doing right now. All right, now the tests are running. Let's see how it goes. So here you can see all the different versions of Go I have running. Oh, that's a good. You mentioned Discord. That's a great question. I'm curious if people prefer Discord or Slack. Both are popular. Most people have an opinion on which they prefer. I'm curious what this audience might prefer. If you have a preference, let me know. If you don't care, that's also fine too. So here you can see all the different versions of Go I'm running against. I support Go back to 1.17 up through the current version. And then I also run the test on CouchDB, which is Go compiled to JavaScript. And so you can run it in the browser. That's what those are for. As soon as this, the reason I'm not really doing any other work while I wait for this is because I want to merge this, then I can rebase my other branch on top of this one to have the new capabilities in there, and then continue from there. So that's why I'm waiting. It's one disadvantage of having a slow CI capability. Uh-oh. Coverage failed again. Oh, another failure. All right. Let's see what's going on here. I have another failure. Open. You just run tests against the whole thing. I never did that. I was just testing locally in the particular package I was changing. Which test is this? How do I fix this? There's just some more test cases to fix, huh? Yeah, this is just, I don't know why I missed this the first time. It's more cases of objects need to be turned into. Oh, wait, this is. Oh, it's undoing my change. Okay, that makes sense. So actually, when I did this the first time, I was wrong for the same reason that the other test failed. I just overlooked it. This is testing that the correct JSON document is being marshaled, and I just blindly said, yes, those should be slices now, or arrays, and they shouldn't have been. This is one reason that golden file tests are dangerous. It's too easy to blindly, or in this case, it wasn't even blindly. Like I saw what I was doing. I didn't just like, yeah, change them all. I just didn't recognize that the change I was accepting was stupid. So there, we just undid all those changes I did before. Looks like some of them still changed. So I'm looking at the diff now. Oh, it just, some of them changed the order of keys, which doesn't matter. You see here the keys got reordered. It's not, okay. I'm gonna undo those changes too. I'm going to recreate this commit without any of those test changes. I do want that change. I do want that change. No. 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 Okay. Now I'm going to undo all these changes and see if the tests still pass. And I think they will. They do. Okay. So none of those test changes were actually necessary, which is a good thing. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. All right, so now we're back to waiting for tests to run, but I feel better about this change too. Here we can see the complete diff. There's that Go doc I added, and here's the new function. It's a near duplicate of the other function. It won't be for long, but it is right now. And there we go. Yeah, I use TDD for most of my work. I mean, there are a few cases where I don't, but for anything where I expect the code to be useful, I use TDD. But it is a skill. If you try it and you have difficulty, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But let me know what problems you have. Maybe it's something I can help you with. It is a skill to be learned. It's not just an obvious sort of quick win. It takes a while. It probably takes a few months at least to go from zero TDD experience to basically proficient. But even now, I've been using TDD for years, and I still am getting better at it all the time. All right, just waiting now again. This is the part where we need some background music or something, right? Yeah, let's go. Let's see how this goes. Hopefully everything works this time. Fingers crossed. I guess while I'm waiting for this, I can ramble a little bit about one other thing. I just installed a new light here in my office. Let me show you the non-green screen version of my office there. There's even some sun coming back on the green screen. But I just installed a new light. You can see it right here. And it makes my head glow more green than before. The good news is that there's less wrinkles on the back, and it's a little more evenly lit, the green screen. So I have another light to install on this side, but I haven't done that yet, and it's gonna be tricky because the shape of the wall is different. Anyway, bit by bit, I'm trying to make my green screen in my studio better for these things. But I apologize for the green halo around my head. I'm sure it's not really bothering anybody, but it bothers me. Full tech fluencer. Yes. Well, I work in an attic. My office here is a small cutout of an attic. So like my head is where the roof should be coming, uh, except that we cut it out. If that makes sense, right? So it's a really small space. There's barely enough room in this office for like a single bed, if it were a bedroom. Um, and actually, let me stand up. I'll show you. You can see the cutout behind me. There you can see that's where the roof used to go, right? So my head would be sticking out the top of the ceiling right now, top of the roof, if it were still that way. So trying to make this studio work properly in such a tight space is quite difficult. It's difficult to get the right lights in place. Um, to do proper green screen, as they say, you need like 6 feet behind you or a couple meters, and I have a half a meter. Anyway, I'm doing the best I can on the limited space and fairly tight budget. The important part isn't, of course, the production quality. I guess it's the content. So hopefully the content is useful to people. All right, tester. The coverage test passed this time. That's good news. We'll wait for the rest of them to pass, and then we'll merge this thing. I guess the other nice thing about having a green screen in your office is you can hide junk behind it and nobody sees it unless you pull up the screen and show it off. This seems slower than usual, but maybe it's because I'm doing it 3 times. In the past, I don't usually have to do it so many times. Well, thanks. I'm glad you like the content. We're getting close. Pop a couple of these up in other windows, see how the progress is going along. Oh, that one just finished. That one just finished. They're all done. A couple more to go. That one's going. That one's going. Should be done soon. One reason these tests are so slow is because they're running against live CouchDB instances that run in Docker, and it takes a little while to start up the Docker containers, and then it takes a while to run all the tests. So that's one reason it's slow. Much slower than running it on my local machine where I don't have that. I mean, I can run Docker locally with that, but I often skip that part. Just one left. This is the last one. Five minutes, 20 seconds and counting. Come on, you can do it. Five minutes, 42 seconds. There we go. Shot succeeded. Done. All right, let's merge this thing. All right. So I'm going to rebase what I just did, or I'm going to rebase my other branch on top of what I just did. And there's a conflict, not surprising that I have a small conflict. Shouldn't be hard to fix. Yeah, I just need to make this 0 happen in the new version. And then I guess the same thing here. Oh, it's called docs. I need to change it from doc to docs and then add the 0 index. Should take care of it. Another conflict here. Probably the same thing again. Yeah. Doc needs to become docs 0, and also here. I think that's it. The same here and here. Yeah, that's good. All right, now our tests should still be failing, but in the same way as we expected before, except they're not. Something else is happening. That's weird. Getting an EOF on line 182. Might make sense. What did I do wrong? Let me run one test at a time. I don't know why this one's failing. Rows equals 1 x, 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 x. So that's this first one we did here. And 182 is right here. So it's failing, it's getting an EOF when it's trying to read row.doc. Why? Did I forget to set that? No, I'm setting it right here. I might know why. No, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why. I'm going to add debugging here. I'm going to print out the rev. I'm curious if it's happening on the second iteration of the for loop. So I want to see how many times that's called, and that's what's happening. But why am I getting 2 results in this case? This is surprising, but the answer is part of the question. So basically, the first time through the iterator, it works fine because the body is only set once. The second time it doesn't. So I need to fix that. Anyway, I guess it explains why it's happening. I don't know why I'm getting 2 revisions here, though. Oh, I bet I do know why. It's because of this nonsense. This is wrong. And now I know that it's wrong. I didn't realize that to begin with, but now I know it's wrong. So okay, it all is starting to make sense now. The good news is my tests are still valid and failing appropriately. So basically, where I return this document revs, I need to. I think I'm going to rename this to documents. Because what I really need to do is return multiple documents, even though they all happen to be always of the same document. I think it's easier to think of them as multiple documents. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to just do, oh, let me think about this. In an ideal world, I would just keep in memory a cursor or maybe a list of file names or something like that, rather than loading them all into memory. And then as the iterator is iterated over, I could just load them one at a time from the file system. Remember, these could be gigabytes. Someone could attach a Star Wars Episode 3 to one of these documents, and you have this 25 gigabyte movie file in memory. That could theoretically happen. And if we're loading 6 versions of that, maybe we have 6 different versions of that 25 gigabyte file in memory. We don't want that, obviously. So the ideal scenario would be to just keep track as we go through the iterator, what's the next file to read off the disk, and read that as it's requested. I don't think anything I have allows that to happen right now, and I don't want to get sidetracked on building that. So I'm gonna do the sloppy quick way / slow way. Quick way for coding, slow for execution, and just load it into memory for now, and I'll work on fixing that later. Again, with TDD, you want to do the least amount of code to make the test pass. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. Make the test pass, and then I'll work on optimizing later. Or as Kent Beck likes to say, or has been known to say, make it work, then make it right, then make it fast. So I'm not worrying about the right or the fast part right now. I'm worrying about does it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a slice of docs here, and I'm just going to iterate over those. And so I'm going to change. So the same sort of thing I did here with his revisions, where I took the first one and then I sort of shifted the others. I'm going to do that with these docs. So now I'm going to say if len d.docs is equal to 0, then return io.eof. Otherwise, per doc equals d.docs 0. Capitalize that. And then d.docs equals d.docs. All right. Now I can basically, I can set this now to curdoc.id row.rev equals curdoc. Now, how did this happen in the other case? Or something that was this fancy logic. Okay, let's copy that. This capitalization here. Okay, so this, pardon me, I need to actually populate this buffer thing. This will be called curdoc. And then attachment. I'm not doing attachments yet. I should. Well, what? I guess it looks like I can just copy that. I still need to add tests for it, but since it looks like that logic's already built in, let me do this. Now, one thing I can do, now, if this works, or when it works, one thing I can potentially do is delete the old document type and just use the slice version, right? Because even when I only have a single revision, I can still treat it as a slice of a single document. So, and then I would get all the benefit of the previous test I've written. But for now, let's do this. Let's see if this works. Tests failed. Why? Why? Let's just run the one test. One simple test to start with. So I expected revision 1, I'm getting revision 2. Why? I'm only getting one result, so that part's fine. So I'm getting the new revision instead of the old one. I don't know why, but that's what's happening. So this thing is not doing the right job. It's probably, oh, it's because I didn't copy this logic into the new function. In fact, I should move it from this one into the other one, because this one doesn't care about OpenRev, but the other one does. This will probably fix it. But cut that out there, put it here. We define OK. Let's see if that fixes it. It does. All right. So the case with 2 revisions is still failing, but that's not surprising because I haven't made this change yet, right? Delete this debugging line. All right. So I need to make OpenRevs take this slice. So let's I can do that in a separate commit, a separate branch. It's another simple refactor. Let me commit this stuff. I'm going to commit it as just a work in progress. Another reason to do refactoring like this as a separate commit and merge it separately, it's really useful to keep your refactoring separate from functional changes because it makes reviewing easier. If you're working on a team and you have somebody reviewing your code, it's much easier if you tell them this doesn't change functionality at all. It just is a refactor. And by refactor, I mean something like this. This is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to change this to take a slice, and then make it compile and work. But it's much easier to review that if you tell them no functional changes are happening. It's just a refactor. And then second, if you ever have to revert it, like you discover, oh, that refactor was actually dumb or it didn't do what I wanted, you can revert that without reverting something else too that might be bundled with it. All right. Let's do lan rev. Let's call this, actually, I'm going to call this rev IDs. And then I'm going to set this to that length. And then we are going to do a loop for rev only rev IDs. And I guess I'll just put the whole darn thing in a loop. Oh, not there. Something's not happy. Oh, I forgot the word range. All right. I think it'll work now. Yeah, okay. Now, okay, base is not going to change. That's going to be the same. Oh, this should be string. I need to add that there. All right, that makes it a little easier. I'll call this rev ID. Be consistent with what I had before. I'm confused by this. Oh, that's different. I have a base is shadowed. Okay, that's bad. Let's rename that to base rev so it's not shadowed. All right. Now I think the only failures is that I'm calling it with the wrong argument types. In one other place. Got to create a branch. This is What am I changing? I'm changing OpenRevs slice. Let's see if the tests work now. Yeah. It should be all I have to do. This should pass, I think. Just run the full test suite here locally. No, not the full one, not the one that runs against live CouchDB. Yeah, it's all working now. So I'll create a pull request and I'll get this merged. Time's just about up for the day, and I have another meeting I need to go to, so I will have to actually to end this. But I feel like I made some progress here. I hope that everybody watching learned something, and I hope to see you around next week. Remember, next week I'll be building a web server in Go, so something probably a little more basic than this sort of in-depth stuff. But it's on a tutorial, a course I've never taken, so I'll be learning something along with you, and we'll see how it goes. So I hope you'll join me next week for that. Until then, make it go.